Well, Governor Lingo, Mr. Karl Rove, all of our honored guests, aloha mai kako, aloha. I want you to know that it is an honor to be here this evening. And I say thank you. Mahalo for coming out once again and supporting the Hawaii Republican Party's annual Lincoln Day dinner. You know, every year, this event is made possible by the hard work, dedication, and I would say patience of the many volunteers as well as the staff of the Hawaii GOP. And we can't say thank you enough, so I don't know if we've done it tonight, but if we haven't, and if we have, let's do it again. Let's give them a big round of applause for everything that they have done. Put on such a gala event. I really appreciate it. It says a lot. You know, under the service and vision of State Chairman Aiona Kauai, 2010 is looking to be a year of significant gains for our Republican Party. And we have many to thank for the tremendous opportunity before us this election year, such as the good people of Massachusetts voting Scott Brown into the U.S. Senate. Now, his election has changed the political landscape in Washington and gave a voice to the millions of Americans who want to keep out of control health care legislation from raising the costs and diminishing the quality of health care in our country. And what goes on at the federal level, as Charles stated, affects us as a state. What we need is more federal representatives who are willing to stand up for what is right and to help teach the politicians in Washington how to balance a checkbook. And fortunately, we don't need to look very far for another Scott Brown. I want to remind all of you, on May 22nd, all of us have to pull together and turn out to vote to elect Charles DeJoux as our next congressman. Charles, you have my full support. I want you to know. Now, Charles is running in a special election because someone else thought he was special. This individual decided to vacate his congressional seat after nearly 20 years as a member of the Washington political circle. He is one of our opponents for governor, and he is resigning this weekend from the office for which he was elected to serve during this critical juncture in our state's history, because he thinks it is more important to campaign full-time for an office that he can't hold until next year. Our other potential opponent for governor said the following, word for word, just this past week in his State of the City address, and I quote, "We raised property taxes and we raised sewer fees. We've hiked admission fees, motor vehicle fees, and parking meter rates, some for the first time in decades, and taken just about every other revenue enhancement measure at our disposal." End quote. It is with candidates like these that the residents of Hawaii shake their head in disgust as the never-ending string of career politicians continue to plague the halls of our state government. So I question whether this is the kind of change our voters will have in their mind on election day. Well, fortunately, there is an alternative. I am running for governor. And I need your support if we're going to stop our opponents from holding back our state that we love. These career politicians are making decisions in terms of what's best for the next election instead of what's best for Hawaii. And I can assure you that in the executive branch of state government, empty rhetoric and hollow promises don't get the job done. In a system of checks and balances, we cannot have more of the same backroom politicians who dominate state government, but with a bigger ego. Hawaii is too important to risk its future in the hands of someone who doesn't serve the public interest over special interests. I believe that now, like we've seen in the past, that most of you would agree with me that it's the people of Hawaii who make this a very special place. For it is our people who have learned from these islands and each other a different way of life, where it is more important to give than to receive, where the quality of life, family, and community reflect our core principles and values, and where we want our children to have a better life than our own. And you know, we all have a story. While eating lunch one day in Waimanalo, 3 U.S. veterans, Mike Jones, Ray Jardine, and Puni Akana, took an idea and turned it into a business. The year was 2005, and they launched Native Hawaiian Veterans LLC, a consulting firm specializing in homeland security, emergency management, and information technology, with 4 employees and revenues just over $63,000. Today, just 5 years later, their company has 85 employees and revenues totaled over $10 million last year.